Mina started her shift at the small corner restaurant just as the sun began to set behind the tall buildings of the city. She walked in with the same warm smile she brought every day. She liked her job because she enjoyed greeting people, serving food, and making the place feel friendly. Most customers knew her now. They waved at her, smiled at her, and trusted her with their orders. Mina never raised her voice or argued. She always spoke softly and kindly, but not everyone appreciated her gentle nature. The manager, Ron, watched her with a look that stayed sharp all day. He did not smile at her. He rarely smiled at anyone. Ron liked to control every small detail inside the restaurant. He believed strictness made workers respect him. He believed fear was the strongest rule. When he saw the customers liking Mina more than him, the feeling inside his chest grew cold. Mina was aware that Ron did not like her, but she never understood why. She came to work on time. She listened to instructions. She handled complaints with patience. Yet Ron still found reasons to speak harshly to her. Even then, she stayed calm, because she knew fighting would only make things worse. The restaurant stayed busy that Friday evening. People lined up at the door. Families talked loudly. Children laughed and played with spoons. Friends gathered around tables and shared plates of hot food. Mina walked quickly between them. She carried trays of drinks. She delivered meals. She wrote down orders and remembered small details like extra napkins or no onions. Many customers thanked her again and again. She smiled each time. Ron watched from behind the counter with a tight jaw. Each thank you from a customer felt like a challenge to him. He wanted to be the one who received praise. He thought the customers cared too much about Mina. He convinced himself that Mina wanted to make him look unimportant. His anger built up slowly until it filled his thoughts. When the crowd thinned and the tables became quiet, Mina wiped a table near the window. A couple who had just finished their meals smiled at her and told her she had been very kind. Mina thanked them politely. The couple left. The door closed behind them. Mina picked up a clean cloth and continued wiping the table. Ron stepped toward her with firm steps. Mina noticed him and straightened her posture. She waited for him to speak. "You are working too slowly," Ron said in a sharp voice. Mina blinked. "I finished all the tables on time," she replied carefully. She did not want to sound disrespectful. Ron moved closer. "You finished nothing on time. You are slowing this place down." His tone grew harder. Mina looked around at the clean tables and calm customers. She had handled everything well. She knew that. Still, she chose her words politely. "I only want to do good work." Ron pointed toward the hallway at the back. "Follow me." Mina hesitated. She did not understand why he wanted her to go into the hallway, but he was the manager, so she followed. Her steps felt heavier with each move. Ron walked ahead with stiff shoulders. He stopped in front of the small bathroom at the back of the restaurant. It was hardly used except by staff. Ron opened the door and stepped to the side. "In here," he said. Mina looked at the dark room. "Why you need discipline," Ron said in a flat tone. "You will stay here until I say you can come out." Mina felt her breath catch. "I did nothing wrong." Ron did not listen. He pushed the door gently but firmly. Mina stepped back into the small bathroom. Before she could speak again, Ron shut the door and locked it from the outside. The sound of the lock turning echoed through the narrow hallway. Mina's heart began to race. She touched the door with her palm. "Please open the door," she said. "Please listen to me." She knocked twice. "I did my work." Ron had already walked away. He believed this was the way to control workers. He believed fear would make Mina follow his rules even more closely. He told himself it was normal discipline, though deep down he knew it was unfair. Inside the bathroom, Mina stood still for a moment. The only light came from a thin gap under the door. She breathed slowly and tried to stay calm. She had always been peaceful at work. She had never raised her voice to anyone. She knew this. The situation was wrong, but she also knew she had to stay strong. She did not want to panic. She leaned against the wall and held her hands together. Her mind drifted to her husband, Amir. He always cared for her. He always called when she left work late. He trusted her completely and respected her. They lived a quiet life. Many people in the city knew Amir because of his position in the city council. He was powerful, but he never showed off. He only used his power to help people. Almost no one at the restaurant knew Mina was his wife because she preferred to work without special treatment. She liked simple things. She liked normal days. She liked earning her own money. Amir supported her fully. He always told her that her happiness mattered more than anything at home. Amir finished reading some documents and looked at the clock. He frowned. Mina should have been home already. If she stayed late, she always sent a message. Amir checked his phone again. Nothing. Not a single message from her. Not a single call. A faint worry began to grow in his mind. He stood up from his chair and walked across the room. He picked up his phone and tried calling her. The call rang again and again, but she did not answer. That was unusual because she always answered him. Amir felt the worry turn heavier. He put on his coat and left the house. He locked the door behind him and walked quickly toward his car. He started the engine and drove toward the restaurant. The streets were quiet. The traffic lights blinked on empty roads. Amir looked straight ahead, his hands firm on the wheel. Inside the bathroom, Mina sat down on the floor. She wrapped her arms around her knees. She told herself to breathe slowly. She whispered, Amir will come. He always comes. Her voice was soft but full of hope. Outside, Amir turned the last corner and saw the restaurant lights glowing in the distance. Something inside him told him that he needed to hurry. He pressed the pedal and drove faster while Mina sat locked behind the bathroom door. Unaware of the world outside, Amir was already stepping out of his car. He walked toward the restaurant entrance with a calm face, but his eyes were sharp with concern. He had a feeling something was very wrong. Amir stepped inside the restaurant with steady steps, but inside his chest the worry grew stronger. The place was calm now. Only a few customers sat at the tables. A soft music played from a small speaker near the counter. The lights were warm and low, giving the room a peaceful look. To anyone else, it felt like a normal evening, but to Amir nothing felt normal. Mina had never stayed silent this long. Behind the counter stood Ron. His arms were crossed, and he looked tired but also strangely pleased. Amir walked toward him. Ron noticed him but did not greet him warmly. He only raised an eyebrow. Amir spoke in a calm voice. Good evening. I am looking for my wife Mina. She works here. She did not come home yet. Ron kept his arms crossed. She finished her work a while ago. Maybe she left already. Amir studied Ron's face carefully. Something felt wrong in his expression. There was no concern, no interest, only a careless tone, as if Mina did not matter. She always sends a message when she leaves, Amir said. Tonight there is no message from her. I called her but her phone did not answer. Ron shrugged. Some people forget. Amir shook his head slowly. She does not forget. She is very responsible. Ron looked away for a moment, then back at him. His jaw tightened. Maybe she went out with someone. That is not my job to know. Amir felt a cold wave at those words, not because he believed them, but because he saw something in Ron's eyes. A small flicker of discomfort, a tiny sign that he was hiding something. Amir's voice stayed steady. I want to take a look around. I want to make sure she is not here. Ron's shoulders tensed. There is no need to look around. I said she left. Amir's eyes narrowed slightly. Then you will have no problem if I check the place. Ron opened his mouth as if to argue, but Amir's calm stare stopped him. There was something deep in Amir's eyes, something strong and steady that made Ron feel trapped. He nodded quickly. Fine, look if you want. Amir walked past him. His steps were slow and thoughtful. He checked the tables, the kitchen entrance, and the storage door. Nothing. He reached the back hallway. His heart beat faster as he walked toward it. The hallway lights flickered gently. The floor was clean, but something felt off. A faint sound came from behind the small bathroom door. A soft cough. A quiet breath. Amir stopped in front of the door. He placed his hand on the handle. It did not move. The door was locked. He spoke gently. Mina, are you inside? From the other side came a weak voice. Amir. I am here. Amir closed his eyes for a moment, relief mixing with anger. He tried the handle again. It was locked tightly from the outside. He looked around and saw no one nearby. He stepped away from the door and walked back to the counter. Ron looked surprised. Finished looking, Amir kept his voice steady. Where is the key to the bathroom? In the back. Ron's mouth twitched. Why would you need that? Mina is inside, Amir said. Ron froze. His face lost its color. No, she cannot be inside. I did not put her there. Amir took one step closer. Open the door now. Ron swallowed hard. He looked around as if trying to find an excuse. She needed discipline. She did not follow instructions. I did not harm her. I only wanted her to learn. Amir felt a strong heat rise inside him, but he kept control. His voice stayed calm. You locked my wife in a bathroom while she was working. That is not discipline. That is cruelty. Ron hurried to the back hallway, pretending to act helpful. His hands shook as he pulled out a small key from his pocket. He unlocked the door. The moment it opened, Mina stepped out, her eyes red but her posture straight. She saw Amir and moved toward him. Amir held her shoulders gently. Are you hurt? Mina shook her head. No, I am only tired. Amir nodded. He kept one arm around her, guiding her away from the bathroom. Ron stood nearby, unsure what to say. Amir turned to face him. You locked her in a small room without reason. She asked you to open the door and you ignored her. You left her alone in the dark. You put her in fear. This is not acceptable. Ron raised his hands. I did nothing serious. You are making it sound worse. She only stayed inside for a short time. Mina spoke quietly. He told me I needed discipline. I told him I did my job, but he did not listen. Ron rubbed his forehead. This is my restaurant. I can manage it how I want. Workers must listen. If she does not listen, then I must teach her. Amir stepped between Ron and Mina. His face stayed calm, but the strength in his voice grew colder. Workers are people. They are not toys. You cannot lock someone in a bathroom. You cannot use fear to control them. Ron took a step back. His confidence faded when he saw the authority in Amir's eyes. What do you want from me? Amir answered in a steady tone. You will never treat her or any worker like this again. He turned to Mina. We are leaving. Ron's eyes widened. You cannot take her. She still has a shift tomorrow. Amir looked at him. She will not return. She is done with this place. Ron shook his head. You cannot decide that. Mina raised her chin. I can decide for myself. I do not want to work here anymore. Ron opened his mouth, but no words came out. He finally took a step back and looked away. He felt the situation slipping out of his hands. Amir and Mina walked out of the restaurant. The night air was cool. Traffic passed by slowly. Street lights glowed across the sidewalks. Mina took a deep breath as if the fresh air washed away the fear she felt inside the bathroom. Amir opened the car door for her. She sat inside and leaned back. He closed the door gently and walked to the driver's side. When he sat down, he turned to her, Mina, I am sorry you went through that, he said softly. I should have come earlier. Mina shook her head. You came at the right time. I knew you would come. Amir took her hand. You are safe now. Mina gave a small nod. She looked out the window at the restaurant. A light still burned inside. She could imagine Ron pacing back and forth, unsure what would happen next. Amir started the engine and drove away from the restaurant. Mina watched the road and tried to stay calm, but she felt a question forming inside her mind. Amir, she said quietly. What will happen next? Amir looked ahead. His voice stayed calm but carried a deep strength. Tomorrow I will take action. What he did is not small. He must answer for it. Mina felt her chest tighten a little. You think he will face consequences? Amir nodded slowly. Yes, he must, and I will make sure of it. The car continued through the city streets as the night settled deeper around them. Mina rested her head against the seat. She felt safe again, but she knew the situation was not over, because Amir was not just any husband. He was the man who ran the city. Amir and Mina reached home late in the night. Their small house was quiet, filled with soft light from the living room lamp. Mina placed her bag on the table and removed her shoes. Her steps were slow. The hours inside that locked bathroom still pressed on her mind. Amir watched her carefully. He wanted to make sure she felt safe again. He walked to the kitchen and poured a glass of warm water for her. Mina sat on the couch and took the glass with a thankful expression. She held it with both hands and drank slowly. Amir sat beside her. You can rest now, he said in a gentle tone. Mina nodded. Thank you for coming. I was afraid he would leave me there for a long time. Amir looked at her face. You do not deserve to be treated like that. No person deserves that. Mina leaned her head against the couch. I kept thinking about you. That kept me calm. Amir reached for her hand. I promise this will not happen again. Tomorrow I will start the process to take action. What he did was wrong, and he will face the consequences. Mina looked at him with tired eyes. I do not want revenge. I only want fairness. That is exactly what I want, Amir said. Fairness. Mina leaned softly against him. Amir wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They stayed like that for a long time. The steady beat of Amir's heart and the warmth of his arm brought comfort to Mina when she finally stood up to go to bed. Amir followed her. He made sure she was comfortable before turning off the lights. When Mina closed her eyes, she felt a sense of peace again. She knew Amir was nearby. She knew tomorrow would bring change. Amir waited until she fell asleep. Then he stepped outside to the balcony. The city lights shone across the dark sky. Cars moved like small dots on the roads. Amir lifted his phone and made a call. A deep voice answered. Yes, sir. Amir spoke calmly. Tomorrow morning I will send you a file to prepare everything we need. There was an incident at a restaurant. A worker was locked in a bathroom. It must be handled under workplace safety laws. The voice replied, we will begin as soon as we receive your instructions. Amir ended the call and stood quietly. The cool night air moved around him. He would not let that restaurant manager harm anyone else. He would not allow fear to control workplaces in his city. He believed in fairness above all things. Anyone who broke that rule would face consequences. He returned inside and checked on Mina one more time. She slept peacefully now. Amir turned off the last light and went to bed. Morning arrived with a soft glow. Mina woke to the smell of tea coming from the kitchen. Amir was already awake, dressed, and preparing breakfast. Mina sat at the table and smiled weakly. You did not have to make all this. Amir placed a plate in front of her. You need strength today. Mina ate slowly. She felt more relaxed than the night before. After breakfast, she prepared her things without any hurry. She no longer needed to rush to the restaurant. She felt free from the weight of Ron's behavior. Amir walked her to the living room. I will handle everything today. You rest or visit your sister. Do anything that keeps you peaceful. Mina nodded. I trust you. Amir smiled softly. And I take that trust seriously. He picked up a folder from the table. It contained documents, reports, and a written account of what happened. Mina had told him every detail, and Amir wrote it all carefully. He kissed her forehead. I will return soon. Mina watched him leave. She felt proud of him. She knew he worked hard for the city, and she knew he would do the right thing. Amir drove to the city council building. The tall white structure stood firm in the center of the city. People stepped in and out in steady waves. When Amir walked through the main doors, officers greeted him with respect. He walked toward his office with measured steps. Once inside, he placed the folder on his desk. Several officials entered soon after. Among them was Farid, a trusted officer who handled workplace safety laws. Farid sat down. Sir, we received your call last night. We are ready to begin. Amir opened the folder. This is a case of workplace mistreatment. A worker was locked in a bathroom by the manager. The door was shut from the outside. No emergency, no reason. It is a clear violation of safety rules. Farid nodded. That is serious. It is much more than serious, Amir said. It is dangerous, and it cannot happen in this city. Farid studied the documents. We can begin an inspection today. If the manager refuses to cooperate, we have the right to shut the business until the investigation ends. Amir nodded. Do it, and make sure it is handled with strict fairness. No bias, no unnecessary force, just the truth. Farid stood. We will start in 1 hour. Amir watched them leave. His expression remained calm, but inside he felt a firm determination. He wanted justice, not anger. He wanted fairness, not punishment born from rage. Later that morning, Farid and 2 officers reached the restaurant. Customers were already inside, eating their breakfast. Ron stood behind the counter, looking tired. He had barely slept because he feared something like this might happen. Farid walked to him with a straight posture. Good morning. We are here for a workplace inspection. Ron's face paled. Why, a complaint was filed, Farid said. We must inspect your records, staff treatment, safety procedures, and overall environment. Ron tried to smile. Everything is fine here. Farid shook his head. We will decide that after our inspection. One officer walked toward the kitchen. Another checked the storage area. Farid inspected the back hallway. He stopped at the small bathroom. He examined the latch and the outer lock. He took notes. Then he returned to the counter. Ron swallowed hard. Is something wrong? Farid looked at him with a serious expression. This bathroom can be locked from the outside. That is a problem. Staff rooms cannot be secured in a way that traps someone inside. Ron raised his hands. I only locked it once. It is not a usual practice. The worker was not in danger. Farid replied firmly. That is not for you to decide. It is against the law to restrict a worker's movement in a closed space. It creates fear and risk. Ron's voice shook. Is this happening because of that man yesterday? Farid replied. This is happening because of your actions. Ron paced behind the counter. I did nothing harmful. Workers need discipline. They must listen. If they do not follow rules, I must teach them. Farid wrote something down. You are confirming that you see no problem with locking a worker inside a room. That helps our report. Ron stopped speaking. His face turned tense. He knew he had made a mistake. Farid closed his notebook. Until the investigation is complete, your restaurant will remain under observation. If more violations are found, it may be closed temporarily. Ron stared at him. You cannot do that. We can, Farid said calmly, and we will, if needed. Ron sat down heavily on a chair. His hands shook. His confidence from the night before was gone. Farid walked toward the door with his team. He looked back once. Treat workers with respect. This city will not allow anything else. As the officers left, Ron felt a sudden weight on his shoulders. He understood now that he had crossed a line he never should have gone near. Meanwhile, Amir sat in his office, reviewing new documents. Farid sent him a message that the inspection had begun and the first stage was complete. Amir closed the message with a calm nod. He felt no anger, only a quiet satisfaction. He was not using his position for revenge. He was protecting the people of his city, including his wife. Mina sat at home, reading, feeling much lighter than the day before. She kept thinking about the moment Amir found her behind that locked door. That moment changed everything. She felt safe again because she knew someone cared deeply for her. Tomorrow would bring more news, but for now, peace returned to her heart. The next morning arrived with clear sunlight spreading across the city. Mina sat near the living room window, watching the soft movement of trees outside. She felt peaceful, though a small worry rested at the back of her mind. She wondered what Amir was doing at the council building and whether the restaurant inspection would lead to real change. She hoped no other worker would go through what she faced. She prepared tea for herself and waited. She trusted Amir completely, but part of her heart still replayed the moment she heard the bathroom door locked behind her. The darkness, the silence, the fear. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She reminded herself that she was home now. She was safe. Around the same time, Amir walked into the council building with calm determination. Officers greeted him at the entrance. His assistant approached him with a folder. Sir, we have received the first set of documents from the inspection team. The assistant said. Amir took the folder and scanned it quickly. Any resistance from the restaurant? There was some tension. The assistant replied, but the team handled everything professionally. The manager tried to defend his actions, but his statements only created more concern. Amir nodded. Keep me updated about the next steps. He entered his office and sat behind his desk. His mind focused on fairness. He remembered Mina's tired eyes and soft voice when she stepped out of the bathroom. That memory strengthened his resolve. He wanted to fix the system, not just punish one person for it. The officer leading the inspection entered the office soon after. So, we completed the second stage of the inspection this morning, Farid said. The situation is worse than we expected. Amir gestured for him to continue. Farid placed several papers on the desk. We found multiple issues: unrecorded work hours, improper safety measures, Unfair warnings given to staff. Some workers said they felt frightened when the manager became angry. This is not a safe workplace. Amir listened carefully. Were there any signs of physical harm? No, Farid said. But emotional pressure is clear, and locking someone in a bathroom is a direct violation. Amir tapped the papers lightly. We need to make sure the workers feel protected. Prepare a temporary order to limit the restaurant operations until they correct these issues. Farid nodded. The team is ready. At the restaurant, Ron paced back and forth behind the counter. Customers ate their breakfast, unaware of the tension growing inside him. The officers from the council arrived again. People turned to look as 3 uniformed inspectors walked in. Ron's heart raced. He walked toward them quickly. Is something wrong? Again, Farid opened a document. We completed our review. Several violations were found. Therefore, this restaurant will operate under temporary restrictions until all issues are corrected. Ron's face turned pale. You cannot do this. This is my business. I have customers. I have staff who need jobs. Farid remained calm. Your staff will keep their jobs. You are allowed to operate in a limited way. But until you fix the problems, a council officer will be present here every day. Your actions created an unsafe environment. We must protect the workers. Ron's hand shook. This is all because of that woman. Farid looked at him firmly. This is because of your decisions. You locked a worker in a bathroom. That is a serious act. Customers stopped eating and looked in surprise. Ron felt heat rising in his face. He never wanted the truth to reach the public. Now strangers whispered among themselves. He tried to steady his voice. She was slow, Ron said weakly. I only wanted to teach her. Farid shook his head. You crossed a line. Your responsibility is to guide, not frighten. Ron dropped onto a chair. He felt the weight of his own choices pressing down. Meanwhile, Mina sat at home with her sister Sarah. She had invited Sarah over so she wouldn't feel alone. Sarah sat beside her on the couch. You left that job. That is good, Sarah said. You should not work in a place that scares you. Mina nodded. I like the customers, but the manager always made me uncomfortable. Sarah touched Mina's hand. You are strong. You handled everything with patience. Mina looks down. I tried to stay calm, but when that door closed, I felt trapped. Sarah's voice softened. Anyone would feel the same, Mina sighed. I do not want Amir to do too much. He already works hard for the city. Sarah smiled. He loves you, and he is not using his power in the wrong way. He is making sure no one else goes through what you went through. Mina's heart warmed at those words. She knew Sarah was right. Around noon, Amir called Mina. She answered quickly. How are you feeling today? Amir asked. I am better, Mina said. How is the situation? Amir replied in a calm tone. We found many violations, where the restaurant will operate under restrictions until they correct everything. The investigation will continue. Mina hesitated. I hope no worker loses their job. No one will, Amir said. This is not about shutting down the place. It is about making it safe. Mina listened to his steady voice. Thank you for everything. You do not have to thank me, he replied gently. I only want fairness. They talked for a while before ending the call. Mina felt more at ease. Her husband's voice always carried strength. Later in the afternoon, Amir drove back to the restaurant. He wanted to see the situation himself. When he entered, the customers whispered quietly. Ron stared at Amir with wide, nervous eyes. 2 officers stood near the counter. Amir walked toward them with calm steps. He spoke to Farid first. Everything under control? Yes, sir, Farid replied. We explained the restrictions. The workers understand the situation. Amir looked around the restaurant. It felt different. The air was thick with tension. Ron approached him slowly. Sir, Ron said in a shaky voice. I know who you are now. I did not know she was your wife. Amir kept his eyes steady. Her identity does not change what you did. Ron swallowed hard. Please, do not close this place. I did not want to hurt her. Amir replied calmly. You created fear. You broke safety rules. But you still have a chance to correct everything. Ron lowered his head. I understand, Amir continued. This is not revenge. I want you to improve. Workers must feel safe here. Ron nodded. I will change. Amir watched him for a moment. He could see that Ron finally understood the seriousness of his actions. Fear was no longer the reason for his silence. It was regret. Amir spoke again. The council will visit daily. If you follow the rules, this will end soon. Ron nodded again, slower this time. I will do my best. Amir left the restaurant and returned to his car. The sun was starting to set. He felt calm. He did not enjoy punishing people. He preferred to guide them toward fairness. But when someone crossed a line, he acted with certainty. When he reached home, Mina opened the door. She smiled softly when she saw him. You came early. Amir stepped inside and placed his hand on her shoulder. I wanted to see you. She asked. How was everything? It was handled well. Amir said. The manager understands his mistake now. Mina relaxed. Good. Amir led her toward the kitchen. I want you to feel safe in this city. It is my duty as your husband and my duty as a leader. Mina held his hand. And I feel safe because of you. They stood together under the warm kitchen light, their hearts steady once more. Tomorrow would bring the final stage of the investigation, and a decision that would change everything. Morning arrived slowly over the city as a soft light spread across the buildings. The streets were still quiet, but inside the police station the atmosphere was active. Officers walked from one desk to another, discussing reports and answering calls. In the middle of this movement, Mina sat beside Amir in a quiet corner, her hands resting calmly on her lap. She felt tired from the long night, but her heart was steady. The fear that had held her in the restaurant bathroom had finally melted away. Amir's presence beside her brought a comfort she could not describe in words. He looked at her from time to time, making sure she was all right. Every time their eyes met, Mina felt stronger. The officer in charge, Officer Kamal, approached them with a gentle smile. He held a small notebook in his hand. "We have completed most of the required steps," he said. "The report is ready. The city department will take care of the rest." Mina nodded slowly. "Thank you for helping me." Officer Kamal shook his head. "You showed great courage. Not everyone stays calm in such a situation. You protected yourself with patience, and that is not a small thing." Amir placed his hand on her shoulder. "She has always been strong." Mina smiled softly. It was true, but sometimes she forgot it. The night had reminded her of her own courage. After a few more papers were signed, the officers told them they could go home. Mina stood up, stretching her arms slightly. When she and Amir stepped out of the station, sunlight warmed their faces. The city felt peaceful again, as if it had been waiting for them. Amir walked with her to the car. He opened the door for her, then sat behind the wheel. For a moment, he did not start the engine. He simply looked at her. "Mina," he said gently, "if you ever feel unsafe again, you must tell me. You are not alone." She looked down at her hands. "I did not want to trouble you. You work so hard for the city." He shook his head. "You are part of my life. Nothing is more important." His voice held no anger, only care. Mina felt tears rise again, not from fear but from relief. She wiped them quickly and nodded. On the way home, the city moved peacefully around them. People opened their shops, children hurried to school, and buses rolled down the streets. Mina watched everything through the window, trying to let the normal world settle back into her heart. When they reached home, Mina stepped inside and felt an instant wave of comfort. The familiar smell of tea and the soft light in the living room made her feel safe. Amir placed his coat on the hook and turned to her. "Sit and rest," he said. "I will make tea for both of us." Mina shook her head. "Let me help." But he insisted. "Just today, you rest." She smiled and sat on the couch. Her thoughts drifted back to the restaurant. She remembered the cold bathroom, the locked door, and Ron's harsh voice. For a moment, the memory chilled her, but then she remembered something else. She remembered the sound of Amir's knock on the restaurant's entrance, the firm voice he had used to call her name, and the moment he opened the door for her, the fear lost its power when she remembered that. A few minutes later, Amir returned with 2 steaming cups. He handed one to her and sat beside her. "What will happen to the restaurant now?" Mina asked quietly. Amir took a sip of tea before answering. "There will be an investigation. The restaurant owners will face questions. New rules will be put in place to protect workers." He looked at her. "This will not happen to someone else again." Mina nodded. She felt hopeful. She had not only been saved but had also helped protect others without knowing it. Later that afternoon, a soft knock came at the front door. Amir stood up to answer it. When he opened the door, a woman in a simple brown coat stood outside. She was one of the senior members of the city department. She greeted Amir with respect before speaking. "We received the report," she said. "I came to check on Mina and offer further help if she needs it." Amir stepped aside so she could enter. The woman greeted Mina warmly. "You showed great strength," she said. "If you need counseling or support, the city will provide it." Mina shook her head politely. "Thank you. I am all right now." The woman nodded. "Your husband has made sure that this incident will be handled with full seriousness. The city stands with you." After she left, Mina felt even more assured. This was not only about her anymore. It was about fairness and protection for everyone. That evening, Mina and Amir took a walk outside. The air was cool, and the sky was painted with soft orange colors. As they walked through the park, Mina took Amir's hand. "I am sorry for worrying you last night," she said. Amir shook his head. "You did nothing wrong. The one who acted wrongly is facing the result." Mina looked at the small lake in the park. The water was calm, and the reflection of the sky made it look bright. She felt as if a heavy weight had lifted from her heart. She knew she would remember the fear of being locked in that bathroom, but she also knew she would remember something stronger. She would remember the moment she heard Amir's voice calling her name. As they continued walking, Amir spoke again. "If you do not want to return to that restaurant, you do not have to." Mina thought for a moment. "I do not want to return," she said honestly. "Not because I am weak, but because I want a fresh start." Amir smiled. "Then you will have it." When they reached home again, the evening had faded into night. Mina walked into the kitchen and touched the counter lightly. She felt peace. She felt safe. The next morning, she woke up early and found Amir already making breakfast. He looked at her with a gentle smile. "You have a long day ahead," he said. "Why?" she asked. He placed a small envelope on the table. "This came for you. It is from the community center. They want to meet you for a new job." Mina's eyes widened. "How did they know about me?" Amir shrugged lightly. "Sometimes courage reaches further than we expect." Mina opened the envelope and read the invitation. They wanted someone kind, patient, and good with people. They believed she would be the right person. Her heart filled with warmth. She looked at Amir. "Thank you," she said. "You earned it," he replied. By the end of the week, Mina stood at the entrance of the community center ready to start her new journey. She felt confident. She felt calm. She felt free. As she walked inside, she remembered everything she had gone through: the fear, the locked door, the long night, and finally, the moment she was rescued. But more important than all those memories was one truth that stayed in her heart. She was not alone. She had courage inside her, and she had someone beside her who valued her more than anything. With a deep breath, Mina stepped forward, ready for her new beginning.